everyone. We've got Jeff Miner here, so it's going to be a great session. As you know, he's going to speak to us about limiting beliefs, a little bit of his background for those that don't know. He's an Iowa wrestler, tough guy, big teddy bear of a man, I like to say, that'll twist you into knots, so don't get on his bad side. I try not to. No, but he works with athletes, MMA fighters, works in the realm of, I'll say, performance anxiety and various other things. So this is going to be great. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Jeff Miner.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for attending. Good to not see all of you. I wish I could, but the format isn't like that. So I'm happy to be here today. And today we get to talk about one of my favorite topics. And because I have had to put this together, folks, for me to be able to undo some of the challenges that I've had in my life. So when I put, how to change limiting beliefs, it's a step and it's a process of what do I do and how do I even know if I have a limiting belief? So I want to start with limiting beliefs. What is a limiting belief? A limiting belief is something that you believe as a result of something that's happened to you in your life. It could be your parents never thought you were enough, so you never thought you were enough. It could be you felt the need to please everybody else because you weren't feeling like you were enough. It could be you have a fear of failing because when you failed before, your world crushed. It could be a fear of letting other people down, a fear of disappointing other people, a fear of people finding out that you're a fraud. It could be lots of different limiting beliefs that you have as a result of something that's happened to you in your life. So what we're going to do today is I want you to really look at the sheet on limiting beliefs, and I want you to, what we're going to do, there's 3 categories, basically. And it starts with what is your limiting belief, and then the first category is somewhere that belief occurred. We don't know exactly where that belief occurred, but you know. And I want you to think about it. And so let's just say an example of that is I'm a horrible speaker. And my situation that caused me to think like that was I was in front of about 200 Olympic coaches and I had a panic attack and I froze and it was miserable. And so I got this belief in my head that I'm a horrible speaker. And so the feelings that occurred out of that situation were I'm not enough, I'm less than, I'm going to embarrass myself, there's people out there that know more, I'm going to panic, I'm going to have another panic attack. All those feelings came out of that situation. So what did I do? I went to these behaviors and I started doing these behaviors that limited my access to failing in that area. So I stopped speaking. I stopped even engaging in situations that would require speaking. So every situation, I started drinking. I started avoiding all situations, people. I couldn't speak in front of 2 or 3 people. I stopped exercising because I was feeling horrible about myself. So all these behaviors are limiting behaviors. They're keeping these feelings that I'm having alive. And the only way that I know how to change feelings, and anybody out there can correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't just say, Mike, you need to feel happier. You need to feel better, dude. Really, just do it. It doesn't work like that. So the only way I've seen how we change how we feel about ourselves, and this is a CBT theory, is it's the behaviors that we're doing and the thoughts that we're having that are happening as a result of those behaviors. So if you change those behaviors, you're going to start thinking and feeling differently about you. So what did I do? My limiting belief is I'm a horrible speaker. It came from this situation where I had a panic attack. I had those feelings of inadequacy, embarrassment, can't speak, all those feelings. The behaviors that I were doing were keeping me safe. I wasn't speaking, I wasn't going out, I wasn't trying, I was avoiding, I was doing all these behaviors to keep myself safe. what did I need to do to change? I needed to first started going to AA because I realized I had a drinking problem. Then I went to, what's that speaking group? Toastmasters. And then I started speaking in front of 1 or 2 people. And then it started to get better. The behaviors that I was doing helped me change the thoughts I was having about me being a horrible speaker. And now I have no fear of speaking. I love to speak. And it's all been this process of starting new behaviors. I had to start thinking different, stop trying to rehearse everything I was saying. All those new behaviors allowed me to feel good in that area. So now I'm going to put it all together for you, and then what I would really like to do is first off answer any questions about how to change limiting beliefs, but then I would like to go into one with somebody as a role model if we could, and talk about their limiting belief and how to go through this process. So right now, I want you to think about your limiting belief. What is your limiting belief? And take some time and think about that, because we might have 20 of them, but we can only address one at a time. And it may change other things, but let's just say your limiting belief, and I've heard this a lot with a lot of Warriors Ascent participants, is I'm not enough just the way I am. It's very common. And I want you to really look at that situation. Where did that happen? Did it happen in the military? Did it happen when I was a kid and I felt like I had to prove myself or I had to take care of everybody? Where was the situation that occurred? And really think about that situation. And if we were interacting and we were all here in a group, I would have you break up into pairs and really dive into that situation. Really go deep into those feelings that occurred. And then I want you to ask yourself the question, am I still feeling those today? Because if you're still having those feelings right now that I'm inadequate, I'm not enough, whatever it is, then they're still controlling your happiness. You're not going to feel better. So the only way to do this is break it down. Look at the behaviors that you're doing right now. Are they keeping those feelings alive? And if they are, then put in the new behaviors. And that's where we usually talk back and forth about what is it that I do need to put in. Like if you are avoiding, if you are keeping people at a distance, if you are not going deep, if you are doing those types of behaviors, then what do you need to do that's different? You need to be honest. You need to own your stuff. You need to be vulnerable. You need to let people into your world. You need to get the help. If you've got an addiction, address that addiction. It's all you taking control over those limiting beliefs. They're not real. They're made up in our minds. You know, fear of rejection. You know what? Yeah, we're probably going to get rejected and we're still going to live. Feel that we're going to let other people down. Yeah, it's probably going to happen, but we're going to live. So what I would like to do is, and we could do this with Christy. Maybe we could, right, Christy? Christian. Oh, maybe with Christian. All right. I was close, right? So, is anybody willing to go there? And if you are, if Christian is, let's turn him on and have him go to his limiting belief.
All right, Christian, I'm trying to unmute you, my friend. Try to unmute yourself. And if you can't, then type it in the text, or really type it in the questions, so you'll see the questions tab. right. He says, I don't have enough time for myself, my kids, and work. Got it. So did you get that, Jeff?
Yeah.
So Christian writes, I don't have enough time for myself, my kids, and work, and his work.
And I would say, tell me about that.
So, yeah, Christian, expound, elaborate.
Yeah.
I still don't have you. I don't know why. Do you have yourself unmuted? Do you have that ability?
As we're waiting, I'll just kind of address that. Christian, you don't have enough time, but you do. You're probably just prioritizing it in ways that aren't beneficial to you. You know, we all have the same amount of time, and we all got to figure out how we're going to best use it for us. So if your limiting belief is I don't have enough time, it's when did that occur? Where did that occur? Did it occur in the military that I got to get all these things done? Did it occur? Where did that mindset occur? And then what feelings does it cause? Anxiety, pressure, doubt, worry, stress, that I'm not getting all my things done. And then what behaviors are you doing that are keeping those alive? So then you look at those behaviors, Christian, and look at what do I need to do to change that?
All right.
So
Let's go to Tim.
okay.
Tim, speak to us, buddy.
Hello, how you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Tim?
Okay. I just like you said earlier, I don't feel like I'm good enough. Especially since getting injured, having to retire.
So tell me about what it feels like to be not good enough, Tim.
Well, it sucks. I feel bad. And, my wife's the breadwinner now, going out to work every day while I'm sitting at home. And I feel like I'm not supporting family the way I should.
Right. What would make you feel better about that?
I'm not sure.
Like if you were doing what? If you were doing something different, like what would the goal be?
Well, my goal would be to get back to work, but I know that that's not physically possible, so I'm not sure where to go from there.
Right. So you said the feelings that come out of this are you feel horrible, you feel like you're less than, not enough.
Yeah.
So let's look at the behaviors that you're doing with that, Tim. Right now, what are you doing that are keeping those feelings alive? Because if you want to feel like you're enough, you've got to take care of you. Are you doing that?
I guess I just learned this one, so
I missed that. Could you say that again?
I reminisce, I bring it back up and think about it.
Right. So what else are you doing that's keeping it alive?
I'm not sure,
Good.
Here's my mind.
Good. Are you escaping using any type of escaping behaviors?
Such as what you mean?
Like drinking, smoking?
No.
Okay. And what other, like reminiscing, sounds like, are there anything else that you can think of that you're doing to avoid connection, to avoid going deep, to avoid talking about these things? Are you doing any of that, or are you addressing those issues?
But it's kind of hard to speak to my wife the way I felt I should.
Tell me about that.
Well, I know I need to open up more,
Right.
but it's tough.
What did he say? Yeah. So on the limiting behavior side, it's you're keeping things inside a bit, you're not engaging as much, you're trying to, and you're keeping from owning your shit, so to speak. Right? Yeah. So we look at those behaviors that you're doing that are keeping this alive. What are the new behaviors, Tim, that you got to do to change how you feel about yourself?
Like I said, exercise really seems to help a lot. I'm getting back in shape. And
Yeah.
makes me feel better about myself.
Right. Right. What else?
Well, I'm trying to spend more time with my wife than I used to.
Great. But is it about just spending time? And how do you do that? How do you do that, Tim?
Just gonna hang out in the living room and watch some interesting shows. And I don't know, we're connecting on some kind of level through that.
Yeah, I think that's a start, but what if you let her into your world and opened up and told her how you were feeling and encouraged her to be on your journey and not push her away from it?
Yeah. I mean, I need to do more of that.
Why don't you?
That's a good question.
Because you don't think you're enough. Maybe you're afraid of her not respecting you or wanting to be with you anymore if she knows the real you.
Well, I think she knows the real me. It's just, I don't know, it's just hard to open up.
What's keeping you from it? You,
It's fear of bringing up past experiences and feelings.
right. And so you say your number one challenge is you reminisce. And you go back into the past. And that's what brings you down and affects your happiness and your belief in you, right?
And, you know, I started thinking about my career and how I lost it and, you know, how I used to help people all the time and I was in the brotherhood and the fire service and that's like all gone now and so it's kind of tough to find purpose and
Right. So you're saying these things, Tim, like it's tough to find purpose and it's difficult to let her in and it's difficult to not reminisce. They are difficult. It's really hard on all of them. And I think this is why you're you're here today and you're going to bat and you're doing the things that you need to do, because what you're doing today, Tim, is owning your shit. You're walking into your fear. You're addressing these challenges in your life, and you're not just sitting back. So this is the change. This is the new behavior list. You doing things like this, you coming to Warriors Ascent, you opening up and taking the chance to dare greatly and walk into the arena and talk to everybody out there with me. This is a huge step forward, Tim. It's you not trying to hide who you really are. How do you feel when you let people really into your world? You just let 25 people into your world.
I mean, it feels good. You know, my wife, I'm sure, has been listening to me for the last 5 minutes, so. Good,
and I hope you two can go there, because you deserve it, my friend. So it sounds like, Tim, I want to just summarize a little bit of what I heard. You've got some limiting beliefs. I'm not enough. I have to prove. You had several situations that could have occurred in, and where that came from. And the feelings are that you're not enough and you don't like to express your feelings, and so you got these limiting behaviors that are keeping you feeling like you're not enough. And so
not as bad as it used to be. It's definitely improved. But
yeah. So tell me this new behavior list that Tim has started and he is going to continue to do into the future.
we're going to continue to open up and
Yeah.
own my shit.
Yay! Go Chiefs! I think that's great, Tim. That could be the best outcome of today, is if we all could own our shit and be real with ourselves and realize that our feelings are important. You know, expressing those, what's happened to us, not just the situations that you've been through, Tim, but the feelings that you have now are what you tend to hide. And that's what needs to come out, and that's what will help you with the anxiety, stress, and feeling bad about yourself. Thanks for taking the risk, bud. You bet.
All right, we've got something from Heather, Bruce. So I'll read, Jeff, and then please respond. My thoughts encompass the quote-unquote, I'm not enough and I'm not worthy. These thoughts originated from childhood with my father telling me I was worthless. I have run into circumstances in my adult life where those thoughts were reinforced with failing a task or not obtaining certain things in my life I really wanted. Although I have recently achieved one of my life goals, I have these thoughts that I will fail and do not deserve it. I felt the same with receiving the highest award for doing my job because I did not think I did anything more than just doing the job.
Right.
I do not view myself the way others and my supervisors view me because of the mindset which was instilled in me while growing up. Mm-hmm. Not quite sure what the first step would be to permanently change my mindset. So Heather, hey, thanks for sharing that, and I'll let Jeff answer.
Heather, I would love to see you for one-on-one counseling, because that sounds like a really achievable goal. You were set up, and this happens, and we probably can't fix it on a one limiting belief worksheet, but I do believe that all those things set you up to feel like you needed to prove and always feel like you're not enough just the way you are, and I got to prove. And even when you achieve these great things, it's like I still am not there. I've worked with so many athletes, so many people in my life that's their thinking process. And when it is, it's like I've worked with a lot of perfectionists. I've worked with a lot of people that if you want to be great at anything, be a perfectionist. But you got to learn, if you're a perfectionist, you got to learn how to enjoy the ride. And that's what most perfectionists don't. They beat themselves up all the time and they never have any fun, even if they're great. They can be one of the world's best, and if they're beating themselves up and not enjoying it, why do it? So a lot of times, this situation where your father and you weren't enough and you always felt like you need to prove, that turns into like different man situations where you're always feeling like you need to prove yourself to a man, and it feels like you're always trying to prove yourself. So those feelings come out of there like, I'm not enough just the way I am, I'm anxious, I got to be on my game all the time, I've got to be perfect, I got to be better than everybody else. Those feelings came out of that when you were a kid. So they traveled with you throughout life. And I've always got to prove, I've always got to show everybody that I'm enough. And that's pressure, and that's weight, and that's like living in fight or flight or freeze all the time. It's not a fun place to live. So that's all occurred to you. So the behaviors that you have done that are limiting you is, I've got to be perfect. I've got to show everybody. I've got to be there for everybody. I've got to do all these behaviors that are keeping you stuck in that mindset of, I am not enough. The only way you're going to change that kind of mindset is when you start seeing that this is good stuff. This is good shit. You are enough. You know, you're plenty. You are more than enough, but you've never seen it like that. And that's going to take some twisting of behavior, twisting of thoughts, twisting of a lot of different things. One of the, we go down to those behaviors that you're limiting yourself on. Let's move over to the new behaviors. The first one I would say is go to therapy. You deserve it. You're going to be so happy after just a short time in therapy, I think, because that kind of thinking has put so much pressure on you your whole life. Some of the other ones are putting you first, not worrying about pleasing everybody else, seeing your value, starting to love you, all these different kinds of behaviors you can do that are going to set you up for success and to feel better about yourself, because that belief of I'm not enough, that sucks. And that's deeply ingrained in a lot of us. So thank you, Heather. I hope that answered your question. If you have anything more, go ahead and ask.
Can you unmute yourself, brother? There you go.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, perfect. There you are.
Hey, sorry about that. And part of what I was elaborating or going to get into was actually what part of the problem was when I was sitting here dozing off, not because of the lack of interest in the speaker, but because of my work schedule.
Yeah.
I worked till 4 a.m. last night. My kids are young. I'm a little bit older to have young kids, but such is life. And so I had to work late last night. I usually get about 2 or 3 hours sleep, and it's hard to manage a life when you have lack of sleep and kids that are ready to go in the mornings and things like that. So
Yeah.
I started hearing my name being called, and I jumped up and was trying to get back into the swing of things. But yeah, so that goes to kind of what I was saying is that, with my work schedule and life and stress from that, and kids that are young and ready to go all the time, and my wife works as well, it's just this sometimes overwhelming. It feels like I can't catch up and find the time to kind of take care of myself in the many different ways that I might need to, whether that's just recreationally or just relaxing or anything like that. Aside from a lot of the issues that creep up personality-wise.
So how important, Christian, do you think self-care is on the priority scale?
I think it's very high, but I haven't been able to achieve it very well lately, for sure.
Right, me too. I struggle with it too, but but now I'm gonna give you a little situation just to ask you, dude, you just got diagnosed with kidney failure and you got to go have dialysis every day. Are you gonna do it?
Sure.
Yeah. right now you're killing yourself, dude. You're trying to put everybody else and everything in front of your self-care. And self-care always needs to be number one, or else you're no good to anybody. And I know that sounds bitter and harsh, but you gotta get out of victim shoes and get into victor shoes. It's like, I know that this stuff is happening, but how am I going to put me first and take care of me so that I can be there for my kids, be there for my job, be there for my wife? And that's going to take you consciously putting yourself first. And that's not easy to do. This is selfish time. If you want to be valuable to the ones around you, you've got to be selfish. Probably the best way to truly address limiting beliefs is in therapy. And going there and doing like an EMDR session, or where you really dig into the trauma. And here's kind of how trauma therapy works in general, is trauma therapy, all the different types of trauma therapy, most of them have a desensitization process, which means you just talk about it. And every time that you talk about a trauma, every time you bring up a trauma and go into it in depth and look at it a different way, that's actually healing. So there's different kinds of trauma therapies, and in those you have them go over the trauma often. A lot of therapists believe that that's re-injuring the client or whatever, and re-traumatizing, and it's like, yes, but if you don't address those, it's like holding down our traumas and believing that they're going to go away. Those feelings, those emotions, they're never going to go away just on their own. They might feel better at different times, but when you discuss them, when you go there, it's like addressing a fear. Usually we run from fears. You know, that's what we were talking about today, is we avoid difficult situations. Most of our limiting beliefs are because we're avoiding, or it's a fear-based. You know, people say, I'm lazy. No, I don't think you're lazy. I think you're afraid. I think you're afraid to feel. I think you're afraid to be real. I think you're afraid to be, and our fears are what keep us from joy, from happiness. Everything we want is on the other side of fear. And so when we don't address those fears or doubts or worries, they're going to control our thoughts. You're going to reminisce. You're going to live in your head. You're going to go to the past and be depressed. You're going to go to the future and be worried. It's like the more you can deal with fear, face head on, talk about those situations. Every week when my athletes come in, when I work with people, it's what are your top 5 fears? Let's address those. And then they go away. It's how it works. But they're not going to go away if you keep tucking them and not addressing them and not dealing with them. They're just going to stay there like that beach ball at the ocean.
I think that's a great point. You know, I've heard it called, there's goal setting, and then Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Workweek, talks about fear setting.
Right.
And much to your point, a lot of times it's almost this amorphous sense of fear about something, the consequences of which are really not so, insurmountable.
Right.
And it holds you back, and then once you really diagnose it and break it down, you're
exactly.
like, I'm afraid of this, and what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Right.
It's really not that bad, and
right.
it's really holding me back from doing things that could really, help, or put my life on a really positive trajectory.
Yes.
If it weren't just for that fear just holding you back. So I think that's
exactly right. Even if it's like a fear of, what if I'm an alcoholic? Addressing that, going there instead of just wondering what if and worrying about it and stressing about it all the time. Go there, feel it, talk about, okay, I am. Now what do I want to do with that knowledge? But we're afraid to go to those places.
That's exactly it. It's almost like intangible. In other words, there are things that, it's just this sense like, ooh, this is not going to be good, or oh, and you're like, what's the really the worst that's going to happen?
Exactly.
When you break it down that way, you're like, this is what I was afraid of, just go out and do it.
That's how I've had to live my life, Mike, is using that statement, what's the worst that can happen, over and over. It's like, Usually it's nothing. It's like, okay, I might have a panic attack. Well, so what? Okay. Yeah, I look stupid. Okay, so what? You're right. Okay, no big deal.
And then the other thing, you hit it right on the head. I've heard you said it before, but you can either step forward into growth or back into safety.
Right.
You know, and a lot of people step back into safety. I mean, you know, hey, myself included, there are times when it's like, I don't want to put myself out there.
Right.
And then you really look at it and go, man, the only way to grow is not to do something foolhardy.
Right.
But to take a little bit of a risk, a calculated risk.
You have to step forward. Either you're going up or down, you know? And it's like, if you're stepping forward into the challenge, into the fear, into the risk, into, you know, everybody that got online today, I admire. Because it's like they're stepping into that fear. It's not fun. I don't look forward to coming, you know, I'm a client, oh, I can't wait till this Warriors Ascent thing. Because I'm going to be vulnerable and I'm going to be raw. And that's where healing takes place. That's where life is lived. It's that passion, it's that excitement, not the fears, the doubts, the worries. I want to thank you all for attending and taking time on your Sunday to hear what I have to say. I want to thank everybody for participating, and I really think that if you took the time to come here and listen today, you're taking the right steps to take care of you. So congratulations on addressing your shit.
All right, Jeff, no, Hayden, thank you as always, my friend. Love what you do, love what you stand for, love you. And I hope everyone got something out of that and really kind of, you know, thought to themselves about what are the limiting beliefs that are holding them back. And hey, you know, to be quite honest, I think everybody, no matter how high performing they are, has some level of limiting belief that is keeping them from being the best that they can be. So really take that seriously, do some introspection and write down, think, hey, what is holding me back? What are my limiting beliefs? And then also, where does it stem from? Where do they stem from? Deconstruct that and get past it. You know, step forward into growth. Jeff, thank you, my friend.
You got it.
Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody.